We're back with part 3 of this week's reading of the Messianic Jewish Family Bible, Tree of Life Version, TLV. And I was reading the footnotes um, geared towards chapter 50. And these footnotes are verses from the Brit Chadashah, the New Testament, which parallels chapter 50 in the book of Isaiah. Mark 15, chapter 16 to 20 says the soldiers took him away into the palace, the governor's mansion called the Praetorium, and they called together the cohort of soldiers. They dressed him up in purple. After braiding a crown of thorns, they put it on him, and they began to salute him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Over and over they kept hitting him on the head with a staff and spitting on him, and kneeling down they worshipped him. When they finished mocking him, they stripped the purple off him and put his own clothes back on, and they led him out to crucify him. And then we read in the book of John, chapter 19, verses 1 to 16. Then, and this is bound in sentence, then Pilate took Yeshua and had him scourged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head and dressed him in a purple robe. They kept coming up to him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and slapping him over and over. Pilate came out again. He said to them, "Look, I'm bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no case against him." So Yeshua came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. "Behold the man," Pilate said to them. When the ruling Kohanim and officers saw him, they yelled out, "Execute him, execute him." Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and execute him, for I don't find a case against him." The Judean leaders answered him, "We have a law, and according to the Torah he must die because he claimed to be Ben Elohim." When Pilate heard this word, as he became even more fearful, he went into the praetorium again and said to Yeshua, "Where are you from?" But Yeshua gave him no answer. So Pilate said to him, "You aren't speaking to me. Don't you know that I have the authority to release you, and I have the authority to crucify you?" Yeshua answered, "You would have no authority over me if I hadn't been given to you from above. For this reason, the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin." Pilate tried to let him go after this, but the Judean leaders cried out, saying, "If you release this man, you are no friend to Caesar. Everyone who made himself a king opposes Caesar." So when Pilate heard these words, he brought Yeshua out and sat down on the judge's seat at a palace called the Stone Pavement, but in Aramaic, Gabbatha. It was the day of preparation for Passover, about the 6th hour, and Pilate said to the Judean leaders, "Behold your king." They shouted back, take him away, execute him." Pilate said to them, "Should I execute your king?" The ruling Kohanim answered, "We have no king but Caesar." Finally, Pilate handed Yeshua over to be crucified. So you can see how this was fulfilled in the Brit Chadashah, and how this was prophesied also in the book of Isaiah. And we see who this is actually, that is prophesied in the book of Isaiah, that it is Yeshua. When he is on earth, he is going through these things for us. Chapter 50, Comfort Zion with Justice. Listen to me, you who pursue justice, you who seek Adonai. Look to the rock from which you were hewn, and to the quarry from which you were dug. Look to Abraham your father, and to Sarah who bore you. For when I called him, he was but one. Then I blessed him and multiplied him. For Adonai will comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. He will make her wilderness like Eden, her desert like the garden of Adonai. Joy and gladness will be found in her, thanksgiving and a sound of melody. Pay attention to me, my people. Give ear to me, my nation. For Torah will go out from me. My justice is a light to the peoples. My righteousness is near. My salvation has gone out, and my arms will judge the nations. The coastlands will wait for me. For my arm they will wait expectantly. Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look at the earth beneath. For the heavens will vanish like smoke, the earth will wear out like a garment, and its inhabitants will die like gnats. But my salvation will be forever, and my righteousness never wane. Listen to me, you who know justice, a people with my Torah in their heart. Do not fear the taunt of men, nor be dismayed at their insults, for the moth will eat them like a garment, and the worm will eat them like a wool. But my righteousness will be forever, and my salvation for all generations. Awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of Adonai, awake as in days of old, the generations of long ago. Was it not you who cut Rahab in pieces, who pierced the dragon? Was it not you who dried up the sea, the waters of the great deep, who made the depths of the sea a path for the redeemed to pass over? Now the ransomed of Adonai will return and come to Zion with singing. Everlasting joy will be upon their heads. They will obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. I am the one who comforts you. Who are you that you should fear man, who dies, or son of man, who is given up like grass? But you forgot Adonai your Maker, who stretched out the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth. Are you in constant dread all day because of the fury of the oppressor, as he makes ready to destroy? But where is the fury of the oppressor? Soon one bowed down will be released. He will not die and go to the pit, nor will his bread be lacking. For I am Adonai your God, who stirs up the sea, so that its waves roar. Adonai Sabaoth is his name. I have put my words in your mouth and covered you with the shadow of my hand. I who set the heavens in place, who laid the foundations of the earth, and say to Zion, you are my people. Awake, awake, stand up, Jerusalem. From Adonai's hand you have drunk the cup of fury, the chalice of reeling, that you have drained to the dregs. There is none to guide her among all the sons she has borne, nor is there one to take her by the hand among all the sons she has raised. These two things have befallen you. Who will mourn for you? Devastation and destruction, famine and the sword. How will I comfort you? Your sons have fainted. They lie at every street corner, like an antelope in a net. They are full of Adonai's fury, the rebuke of your God. Therefore hear this, you who are afflicted, you who are afflicted, who are drunk but not with wine. Thus says your Lord Adonai your God, who defends his people. Behold, I have taken from your hand the cup of reeling, the bowl of my wrath. You will never drink it again. Then I will put it into the hand of your tormentors, who said to you, lie down so we may walk over you. You have made your back like the ground, and like a street for passerby. That's the end of chapter 51. John chapter 1, 1 to 19 is one of the footnotes here. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. All things were made through him, and apart from him nothing was made that has come into being. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overpowered it. There came a man sent from God, whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify about the light, so that through him everyone might believe. He was not the light, but he came to bear witness concerning the light. The true light coming into the world gives light to every man. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, but the world did not know him. He came to his own, but his own did not receive him. But whoever did receive him, those trusting in his name, to these he gave the right to become children of God. They were born not of a bloodline, nor of a human desire, nor of a man's will, but of God. And the Word became flesh and tabernacled among us. We looked upon his glory, the glory of the one and only from the Father, full of grace and truth. John testifies about him. He cried out, saying, this is he of whom I said, the one who comes after me is above me, because he existed before me. Out of his fullness we have all received grace on top of grace. Torah was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Yeshua the Messiah. No one has ever seen God, but the one and only God in the Father's embrace has made him known. This is John's testimony when the Judean leaders sent Kohanim and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" So that is John chapter 1, 1 to 19. In John chapter 8, verse 12 says, Yeshua spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. The one who follows me will no longer walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So this is further confirmation coming from Yeshua himself. John prophesied it. Actually, it's prophesied here through Isaiah long before John was on the earth, long before Yeshua was actually on the earth, and it was fulfilled through Yeshua. And we go back to Luke chapter 2, to a man that was waiting to see the Messiah. He was a very old man, Simeon. And I'm going to take it back a verse, actually. I'm actually going to take it back a couple of verses so it all flows together. So I'm going to take it from Luke, uh, verse 25, and I'm going to take it to 32. Now there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon, and this man was just and pious, waiting for the consolation of Israel. The Ruach HaKodesh was on him, and it had been revealed to him by the Ruach HaKodesh that he would not die before he had seen the anointed one of Adonai, the Messiah. So in the Ruach, Simeon came into the temple, and when the parents brought the child Yeshua to do for him according to the custom of the Torah, Simeon received him into his arms and offered a bracha, a blessing, to God, saying, Now may you let your servant go in peace, O sovereign master, according to your word, for my eyes have seen your salvation. And remember, Yeshua's name means salvation, which you have prepared in the presence of all peoples, a light for revelation to the nations, and the glory of your people Israel. And those are the verses that coincide with chapter 51. Chapter 52, Ma Navu, the Song of Salvation. Awake, awake, clothe yourself in your strength, Zion. Clothe yourself in beautiful garments, Jerusalem, the holy city. For the uncircumcised and the unclean will never invade you again. Shake off the dust and arise. Be enthroned, Jerusalem. Loose the bonds off your neck, captive daughter of Zion. For thus says Adonai, you were sold for nothing. So you will be redeemed without silver. For thus says Adonai Elohim, at first my people went down to Egypt to reside there. Then the Assyrian oppressed them for nothing. Now therefore, what do I have here? It is a declaration of Adonai. My people are taken away for nothing. Its rulers wail. It is Adonai's declaration, and my name is continually blasphemed all day long. Therefore my people will know my name. Therefore in that day I am the one who will be saying, Hineni. Here I am. Here am I, rather. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of him who bring good news, who announce shalom, who bring good news of happiness, who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns. The voice of your watchmen. They will lift up their voices together. They are shouting for joy, for they will see eye to eye when Adonai returns to Zion. Break forth in joy. Sing together. You ruins of Jerusalem, for Adonai has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. Adonai has bared his holy arm before the eyes of all the nations. At the ends of the earth you will see the salvation of our God. Leave, get out of there. Touch no unclean thing. Go out of her midst, purify yourselves, you who carry the vessels of Adonai. For you will not go out in haste, nor will you go in flight. For Adonai will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rear guard. The fourth servant song, the Lamb. Behold, my servant will prosper. He will be high and lifted up and greatly exalted, just as many were appalled at you. His appearance was disfigured more than any man, his form more than the sons of men. So he will sprinkle many nations. Kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what had not been told them, they will see, and what they had not heard, they will perceive. So that's the end of chapter 52. Romans 2:24 says, for as it is written, the name of God is slandered among the nations because of you. And Romans 10:15 says, how shall they proclaim unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who proclaim good news of good things. So much of the book of Isaiah speaks about Yeshua, as we can see. As we can see everything that he has done for us too. So this is going to be a very easy bridge again this week as we get into the altar call later as well. I'm going to pause it for now and come back because chapter 53 really gets into speaking of Yeshua, our Messiah, the first time that he comes. When he came the first time. This is the suffering Messiah ben Joseph, and it's Jesus, Yeshua, the first time he came, which is chapter 53. And I'll be back with the next part